You're watching Startup Central with me, Nayantara Rai. Earlier in the day, ET Now broke the story of how microblogging site Ku has managed to provide an exit to its Chinese investor. Shunwei Capital from China owned a 9% stake in the parent company of Ku, which, if you remember, won the Aprameya app challenge last year. Prime Minister Narendra Modi talked about it in one of the Mann Ki Baat episodes, and Ku really gained a lot of prominence when there was a standoff between the government and Twitter earlier this year over the trending hashtag of farmer genocide. We'd also seen cabinet ministers like Piyush Goyal, Prakash Javagal, chief ministers of Karnataka and Madhya Pradesh all join Ku around that time. So how did Ku provide the exit? Well, it provided the exit by actually getting together a whole host of big guns from the startup ecosystem. We're talking about the founder of Book My Show. We're talking about the co-founder of Zerodha, Nikhil Kamath. We're also talking about Flipkart CEO Kalyan Krishnamurthy, and even ex-Indian cricketer and current ICC match referee Javagal Srinath. So today I'm going to be joined now on that exclusive story we've broken by the co-founder of Ku, Aprameya, and also one of those who's helped provide that exit to a Chinese investor, Ashish, the founder of Book My Show. Guys, welcome to Startup Central. Thanks so much for joining us. Aprameya, I'll come to you first. Tell me a little bit of how it happened. 9% stake in the parent company. You and your co-founder have been on record for some time saying how you want to get the Chinese investor out, you want to become more Atmanirbhar. Now you're talking about how you cleaned up the cap table. How did it happen? Are these all your friends that you went to and said, let's get together?
Well, considering that Ku has many avatars, lots of expression happens, and one of it is a political discourse as well on the platform. It was our responsibility to actually give comfort to India and every Indian that what they're speaking, what they're involved with while using Ku is totally Atmanirbhar. It is Indian, right? And it was up to us to go and actually have people get excited about being part of our journey. And that's when we spoke to some of our existing investors, and of course Ashish is there with us right now, and he was one of the first few people I called. We've known each other for the past decade while I was running Taxi for Sure as well, and he's always been a supporter of Indian startups, and he didn't blink an eye, right? As he accepted right away. So very thankful to everybody who's participated, who's helped us out so quickly, because it was just last month that we actually said, we were in talks with Shunwei to give them an exit, and they were also quite cooperative in taking the exit.
Ashish, let me come to you now. Business was really good at Book My Show if you're now looking at these kind of other investments. But jokes aside, I know you're doing this in your personal capacity. What made you excited about Ku? Is it the prospect of what Ku could become, or is it also this entire larger messaging of buying out a Chinese investor in Atmanirbhar Bharat?
It's an intersection of three things. Number one, it begins and ends with the founder, and Aprameya is a quality founder. And I've known Aprameya, like he said and mentioned, for a long time in his earlier avatar as Taxi for Sure. And to be able to support founders like him to scale businesses is very important from an ecosystem perspective. The other is, I think, he builds quality businesses, and Ku has a phenomenal prospect to cater to an India that is unaddressable by competitors at this time, which is languages. And I keep famously saying that India has three Indias: the Brazil of India, the Africa of India, and the United Kingdom of India. And I think he's trying to solve for the Brazil and Africa of India at scale in languages to lend a voice to people that don't have one. Across businesses, the political spectrum, and every other narrative of conversation. And the third, obviously, is us being supportive as founders who have been around for a while to be able to build back the ecosystem of the clarion call of being Atmanirbhar. And why not, right? Every person needs to be proud of their own capability and building that capability within the country. America was built on that. China built on that. Europe was built on that. And this is our time and it's our turn. And if we don't do it, then who will? So it's an intersection of all three. And I feel that this is just the right time. And I'm hoping that given the astute shepherding that Aprameya has done in the past with his earlier business, he'd be able to repeat the performance once again. And I'm just backing him.
So Ashish, before I go back to Aprameya, you said it starts with the founder as well, and then you've talked about the larger messaging. Can I ask you this one question? You've been around for a while. You're one of the success stories that are celebrated when it comes to the startup ecosystem. Is this the start of a new innings for all of you entrepreneurs who've been around for a while? Ku isn't the only startup that has had a Chinese investor. There have been other promoters and founders that are also talking about taking a similar action on the cap table. Is this something that you think will become a trend in the weeks and months to come?
It appears so. Look, Book My Show, I'll speak from our perspective. We've never had an investment from China. We've always had investors which were local Indian investors on the cap table or capital that came from America. We've never had Chinese investors. It allowed us the freedom to operate as a Western model company within the country, solving for India and Bharat. We've had learnings over 21 years now. I founded the company in 1999. And if there is any value that I can bring to the table for Aprameya as he's embarking on this journey of his, I'd be more than happy to do that, not just as an investor who brings money to the table. I think he can raise as much capital as he wants, but it's really insights, advice, mentorship, friendship, that midnight call that we bring to the table. So I think you're right in that sense that more and more founders will reach out to founders who've been around for a while to be able to do this. And I think it's, like I said, timing is everything. And this is just the time where there is a focus on being more Indian, building Indian for India or for Bharat, as they say. And it's all about timing.
Aprameya, now if I can come to you, your press release talks about cleaning up the cap table. You've had a phenomenal year, and you've, sometimes also about good timing. You're seen as the alternative to Twitter, but you're also doing it in Indian languages. You're already in 8 Indian languages. And look at the access that you're now getting, whether, you have your own success story, but look at the others, whether it's a Nikhil, Kamath or Ashish, who's on the show with you today, Kalyan Krishnamurthy. I don't know how Javagal Srinath is going to fit in, but how are these all just financial arrangements? Are they also strategic? Can we see something larger that could fit in as well?
So it's never only financial, especially for people who have been there, done that, built successful businesses. Every story is special. Every story has its own nuances. There is not enough experience, right? There is so much to learn. Every moment of building a business is different, right? So I think, as Ashish was saying, it's about being able to brainstorm, being able to ping each other, and just being as candid as you can, and asking for help, helping one another out. That's about an ecosystem, right? It's not about competing and all of those things. That's only between a few companies that are there. But in the larger scheme of things, it's extremely important that every generation of entrepreneurs who are able to become successful promote the next generation, and that makes a successful ecosystem, right? That's what's happened in America, that's what's happened in China, and that's what's going to happen in India as well. And given that all of this is going to happen, we are going to hit a stage where technology built in India will also go to the rest of the world. That will be the most exciting phase of our startup ecosystem.
Since I have both of you here, I have to ask you this one question. There could obviously be a lot of synergies that go forward. I understand this is a personal investment by Ashish and all of that. For example, you've got Book My Show that's going to be, part of the global launch of Zack Snyder, the Justice League, that's going to be launching this weekend. you could also do that something similar with Coup, for example, when it comes to regional movies. Have you guys thought about anything like that? I'll let any of you answer this.
Well, I can take a shot at the stream product that we've launched recently. And this conversation is about Coup, not about Book My Show, but it's incredible what we're seeing with the whole stream product that we launched just a couple of weeks ago, actually 4 weeks ago. And the launch of Zack Snyder is tomorrow, not even the weekend. It's tomorrow, and it's a global release, and it's happening on Book My Show. But at this point, I think for us, we haven't had a time to sit down with Aprameya because his needs and wants were very different. And at this time, he wanted the cap table restructured. He reached out to people that he trusted. And there was a lot of work that needed to be done to make sure that this happened. And as soon as this is behind us, I think there will be opportunities for us to sit down and get learnings from him on the Bharat that he is addressing and the languages and regional and the depth that he will reach with Coup on what leverage we can gain out of that and vice versa. So that time will come, but thanks for pointing us in the right direction, but that will certainly happen.
Okay, I'm running out of time, so Aprameya, I'm going to give you the final question now. Just back to basics. This is not a new funding round. This is obviously a round where you went back to your internal investors, those you trust, your friends. You've been around in the startup ecosystem with Taxi for sure, all of that. Going forward with Coup, you've been talking about adding more languages. You've obviously been increasing your user base simply because of what's been happening in the last couple of months. Are you going to need more money? Are you going to go back to all your friends and family soon enough?
Well, because the expectations are from ourselves and everybody in India and across the world is so high, and we are building a product which needs to compete at the global level. Because Coup, once we build in India, we would also like to take it to other countries which have a non-English speaking population as a majority. So we need the resources, right? We need people to build. We need engineers. We need community guys. We need partnerships to happen. So we need great product guys. We need to do machine learning. We need to hire a lot of people, right? And because it's a content company, and we'll have technology costs that are there. So yes, in order to compete at the level that we are, we will need more resources, and one of those resources is money. Right now, we've been fortunate to have just closed a round of funding in January. So it's not an immediate need, but we will definitely keep talking to people who are interested in the space.
And of course, last time round when Coup did go in for a funding round, there was 30 crore rupees. It did go to the domestic investors like 314 Capital, Bloom Ventures, and all of them. Ashish and Aprameya, I'd like to thank both of you for taking the time out, for joining us here on Startup Central. This is the big story, how you've seen stalwarts of the ecosystem come together to provide an exit to a Chinese investor in Coup, which has been talked about as the Atmanirbhar alternative to Twitter.